Hello everybody, welcome. I'm making a special video today because I want to tell you about a new book that has just been published on Amazon. It's called Roland on Relationships. It's a collection of some of my best articles going back 30 years. 30 years of writing articles about relationships, and here they are. And here's the book. Roland on Relationships. So it's a very good read, and I highly recommend it. Now a lot of you, especially my YouTube watchers and listeners, you have come to me because I've got a little something special I bring to life. Madame Guyon, François Fénelon, and Miguel de Molinos, and Christian, and many of the mystical writings. They found something. They found a closeness to God. Not just talking about God, or singing about God, or thinking about God. They actually found it. And it has something to do with being still, and being humble, and waiting upon God, and watching people with all their craziness. Many of you had a mom who's crazy, or a little bit crazy, or a lot crazy. We had a dad that was a wimp. He sat by, watched television, let the whole family go to rack and ruin. A lot of you come from homes where there was a divorce. You couldn't understand it. You couldn't understand. Mom was basically a nice lady. Dad was a nice guy. I mean, they weren't drug addicts, although some of you had parents who were drug addicts and alcoholics. So let's be honest about it. There was a lot of craziness that went on in most families. And you were scarred by it. Okay, you got through, and you can hear me, and you found me. So you'll be okay. But you were scarred by it. And many of you, perhaps most of you, maybe all of you, still have something. You have something of that in you. You see, it got into you. See, it's passed from generation to generation, from the very first family. And ever since then, all Eves, all moms and wives have resented their husband for his weakness, for his not having true love. See, Adam could have had true love in the very beginning. He could have had love and loyalty for his Creator. And when Eve suggested the forbidden fruit in the account in the Bible, it's an apple. Or is it an apple? I don't know, some kind of forbidden fruit. Maybe I'm thinking of Snow White. Or was it Snow White? I can't remember. But yeah, it's traditionally shown to be an apple. But it could be anything. But whatever it was, she suggested that they eat it. Because if Adam ate it, he'd be really cool. And through knowledge, through education, he could be a big success. And she would be impressed by him, and he would be like a god. He could do his own thing and impress the world. Adam liked that kind of talk. So you know what? He ate the apple. But what if instead, when Eve came with this suggestion, if Adam had said, "No, Eve, put the apple down." Father said, "We're not to eat it." Everything would have been fine. But he blew it. And ever since then, see, we're of the lineage of Adam and Eve. You are of that lineage. If you have a bunny rabbit, the bunny rabbit is of the lineage of the bunny rabbit's parents, and their parents, and their parents, and their parents, all the way back. So the bunny rabbit is a bunny rabbit. And you, in your lineage, you're born with a fallen nature, in a fallen world, to a disturbed family. And you have to find salvation. And salvation is also salvation from the craziness. and salvation from the remnants that are in you. You find yourself acting just like your parents did to you when you were a child. You find yourself doing the same thing to your kids. And the legacy of Paradise Lost continues. Well, you have to refine paradise. And you can do it, but you have to understand what goes on in families. You have to understand it. And this book is a good start. Roland on Relationships, 30 years of articles, and these are some of the best. And some of them have been very popular. I'll read you a few of the chapter titles, so I don't want to make this video super long. You need to get it. Look, it's not that big. It's 200-something pages. You can get it at Amazon in the quality paperback edition, which is very nice, very nice. And it also is in Kindle. I think I priced it whatever the lowest I can price, $1.99, $2.99, something like that. It's practically giving it away. So you can get it in Kindle, or you can send me an email, Roland@sheddingshackles.com, or no, better yet, go to the website, sheddingshackles.com. Go to the donate page, make a donation of any amount, and then I will send you a PDF of this book. Okay? All right, so now let's talk about it. But the Kindle is nice. You know how nice it is to read Kindle? So that's nice. And this one is also nice. In fact, over the years, my previous relationship books, this is my third, actually my fourth. Especially the first one, Mysteries of Marriage. I had where some couples, both of them got it. He got one, she got one. They both read it. And you know what? It answers a lot of questions. So you got to ask yourself, are you crazy or is the world crazy? You see what I mean? And you got to be sure of the answer. Yeah, the world is crazy. Families are crazy. So you have to survive the craziness, and you don't want to pass it on to your kids. And now, the other thing is a lot of you have failed. You have failed. There has been a divorce. You men, you failed your wife. You walked out on her. There was a divorce. You turned to another woman. You turned to alcohol. You turned to your work. Something or other. Or you just failed her by sitting in the living room and watching television and letting the family go to rack and ruin. She needed something from you. She needed something from you, and you didn't have it. Well, step number one is to realize that you failed and stop blaming her and take a sober look at yourself and cry out for answers. And some of you wives, you resented your husband. You resent or are resenting your husband. And then you can't stop judging him. And then in your anger toward him and the programming from your child, from your mother, you sought to capture the love of your kids so they would worship you and love you. And you may have twisted them against their dad. Well, for that, yeah, they're confused. They think they saw you as being wonderful and dad as being terrible. And they hated him. Maybe there was a divorce, but look at the result. Look at the lives of your kids. See, or they saw through. Maybe they saw that dad wasn't really as bad as you painted him to be. You're just a regular guy. Maybe you drove him to alcohol. You drove him to drugs. You drove him to the other woman. And then when you did, then you could judge him and hate him and feel sorry for yourself. So you were loveless. You needed love, and he didn't have it. But instead of just seeing that, we're all capable of finding our Creator on your own. And if you found your Creator, then you would have his love. See, the love that we all need is not the love of a woman or the love of a man. It's nice if it comes through the man. If you have a good father, a noble husband, and you love the good that you see in him, and he's there, steady, calm, patient, with a twinkle in his eye, but also he has a no-nonsense side. If you love and respect that, then you can find the love of God, because the love in a good man, the goodness in a good man is not his own. It comes from God through him. All right, that would make it easy for the wife, wouldn't it? It would make it easy. All she has to do is let her hair down, just be herself, and the love in him would conquer all. But alas, maybe he's weak, or he hasn't found it yet. See, you can't write him off. You can't judge. You can't say, maybe he can't. Maybe he could find it. If you'd back off a little bit and stop giving him such a hard time and making his life a living hell, and constantly wanting something from him and resenting him for not giving it to you. Maybe if he had a little space, he could find himself. Maybe not, but maybe he could. You don't know. And if your husband is no good, he's an alcoholic or a drug addict or something like that, well, of course you have to protect the children. If there's any kind of, violence or something, you might need a separation or a divorce to protect the children. You have to protect the children, and you're in their safety. But I'm addressing myself to the average family where he's basically a good guy, and mom is kind of a good gal. You're basically decent people, halfway decent people. So maybe he's weak. Maybe he doesn't have what you need. He doesn't have the quality of firmly but kindly. Firmly but kindly saying, no, put the apple down. See? So if he doesn't have that, then you can still find your Creator and still be happy. Look what's happened to you now by hating him and judging him and wanting something from him and never being happy. What has happened? You're never happy. See, I remember one child said of her mother, she said, you know what? She said, Mom is never going to be happy. It doesn't matter how good of a life she's given. It doesn't matter how many things she has. She's never going to be happy. A lot of women are that way. But you want to be happy? Stop resenting. Stop judging. Then, see, so if you have a husband and he's good, then that's good for you. And if you respect and love the good in him, then that is really good for you. If you have a husband and he's not so good, then don't hate him. Don't resent him. And that same thing goes for you kids. Don't resent your dad. Don't resent your mom. But especially don't resent your dad. Okay? In other words, you can see that maybe dad is making some mistakes. You don't have to like it, but you see it. But don't resent him. It's that simple. So I'm going to read you some of the chapters from this book here. You want to hear some? What is the number one cause of divorce? Good question. I answer it in this book. My husband and I argue all the time. That's one of my favorite articles. My husband and I argue all the time. How to forgive and forget. Here's one. My wife cheated on me. Now what? Yeah? Well, what you do, sir, is very important. You got to handle it right, especially for the sake of the kids. If you just got married or you're just living together for a couple of months and then things aren't working out well, maybe it's not that big a deal. But when children come along, it's a whole new ball game. A mother's lament. My son doesn't listen to me. I give some really good advice here to you moms if your son is not listening to you. My in-laws are ruining my relationship. How many of you have in-laws that are sticking their nose in and upsetting you, see, and ruining your relationship. Sex and marriage, the shocking truth revealed by a counselor. Oh, you got to read that chapter. I cheated on my wife. Should I tell her? All right, some of you guys, you cheated on your wife. Should you tell her? You better read this article. Guilt for resenting their parents is often a factor in why kids turn to alcohol and drugs. Whenever I see a kid that's disturbed, I can see that most of the time it's because he or she doesn't have a good relationship with dad. Especially I see the girls. When the girl is disturbed, she doesn't have a good relationship with her dad. Just how important is that? That's a nice one. Homework issues. How to ensure your kid's success. Yeah. Well, you know what? With the way things have been going now in the world, people ask me, I say, there's two things you're gonna get married and have a family and live a life. Homeschool and home birth. Homeschool and home birth. And maybe home church. Have your own little church at home. Nothing formal. Just live your religion at home. Staying calm in times of trouble and economic downturn. That's a perennial favorite because just about every time, every new year comes along, there's another crisis, another problem, another issue. My wife asked me to leave. Should I? Another article you better read. All right, so there's a lot of practical advice in this book. And not only that, but it's a fun read. It is. It's a page turner. It really is. Because everybody's interested in relationships. So I highly recommend it. It's on Amazon in both quality paperback and Kindle. It's called Roland on Relationships. And highly recommend that you get it.